Broncos country, what is going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, evening, whenever you're watching this. Let's talk about Troy Franklin. I think he's one of the most exciting draft picks that we had this year, especially trading up to go get him with the second pick of the fourth round. I believe that was the 102nd pick overall. And played with Bo Nix. He's got the chemistry there. So let's talk about year one expectations. Is he somebody that can kind of buck the trend that we see with day three wide receivers? Again, sometimes we see guys such as, well, I guess Antonio Brown or Puka Nacua. Those are guys that are coming off of my mind quickly right now as day three guys that end up doing very, very well early on in their NFL career. And I think Troy Franklin definitely has the opportunity to make an impact, but I want to temper expectations for the first part of the season. But I could see him definitely taking over a more substantial role as we get into the back half of the season. Let's go ahead and take a look at the depth chart, and I'm going to give you a comp, so to speak. Somebody whose rookie year might mimic a little bit of what we could see from Troy Franklin. All right. So, first off, let's just go ahead and talk here about just the depth chart situation. Hey, here's my face. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at here. So right now we have Cortland Sutton here. I hope that we're able to give him more guaranteed money. Again, we need to surround our rookie quarterback with as many veteran weapons as possible. Having Cortland Sutton here is great. Is he Jamar Chase? No, but he's still the best wide receiver we got on the roster, in my opinion. So Cortland Sutton, right up there. Tim Patrick, uh, restructured. We signed Josh Reynolds to a 2-year deal. We have Marvin Mims here, who we drafted. I'm trying to remember. Was it the top of the third or the end of the second? I'm trying to remember. Y'all can tell me. A few training camp guys, some guys that will compete for that sixth or seventh spot on the receiving depth chart, being Lil Jordan Humphrey, Brandon Johnson, Jalen Virgil, those guys. Devon Vele, 7th round pick. I don't think his roster spot is guaranteed, but we'll have to see if he can make the team. And then we got Troy Franklin. Again, 21 years old, 4.3 speed, has that rapport already with Bo Nix, which I think is going to serve him well. However, I think that some of the reasons that he fell was because of some of those things in his game that he needs to polish up a little bit. Let's get rid of this ad. I don't know what's going on there, but his releases off the line, a little bit of his route running, hands. I think he had 9 drops last year. So overall, I think he's a very talented receiver. I think we got a steal there at 102. Should have been a day 2 guy, in my opinion, but has some things that he needs to work on. And I think we can allow him time to adjust to the NFL, to work on some of those nuances of his game, and then see him earn more playing time throughout the year. I think that right now it makes sense to start out with a top 3 receiving rotation, however you want to position them. Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and then Josh Reynolds. You might be wondering, well, what about Tim Patrick? I am just completely unsure about Tim Patrick right now. Torn ACL, then last year torn Achilles, right? If I got that right. So who knows what he's going to be this year. And it seems like people want me to join the U.S. Army, but I'm not going to do that. I apologize. But yeah, I would see him as Tim Patrick as that 4th receiver and Troy Franklin being that 5th receiver going into the season. However, depending on how things shake out, depending on his development, I could definitely see him being that 4th wide receiver at some point during the season with potential to overtake somebody like Josh Reynolds, or say we trade Cortland Sutton at some point during the season to where he can take over a starting role. I don't know if that's fully likely, though. I guess for fantasy purposes, kind of look at this like Marvin Mims. Like, give it a year, and then we'll see what he can do. But speaking of Marvin Mims, let's take a look at his season this past year, okay? 22 receptions on 32 targets, 377 yards and a touchdown, all right? I believe he played about 370-ish total snaps, 384 total snaps, okay? And a guy that I feel like would be interesting to take a look at is somebody like Michael Wilson. Again, he was somebody who kind of earned more so, that starting spot from the get-go as a rookie. Again, had a little bit higher draft capital, pick 95 the previous year, and easier path to playing time for Michael Wilson. But you can see, he was mainly consistent throughout the entire season with his snap count in the 50s or 60s. And I think that while I'm not expecting Troy Franklin to have 700 plus snaps this year, I could definitely see him taking more than what we saw from Marvin Mims during, his season of 384. I think it could help him already having that rapport with Bo Nix. And that's so important to have chemistry with your receivers. And so I think I could see Troy Franklin, depending on what happens, injuries, his development, all of that. But I think I could see him taking, 450 to 500 snaps and having a slightly more productive rookie season than we saw from Marvin Mims. Maybe he's around 400 to 500 yards of total receiving yards and with a touchdown or two. I think my expectations for him are pretty tempered. Again, sometimes, when there is a loaded receiver room, loaded and not in the sense of that we got a bunch of all-stars on it, but we got a lot of veteran talent, and he's going to need to earn his way to play above guys the likes of Tim Patrick and Josh Reynolds. I don't expect that coming out of the gate initially, but I could definitely see a world in which he becomes one of those starting wide receivers playing 50 to 60 snaps for us in the back half of the year, because he is just such a dynamic threat on offense once you get the ball in his hands, right? So y'all let me know your thoughts on this. I mean, what are your expectations, your rookie year expectations for Troy Franklin? He's somebody, again, this isn't a fantasy football channel, but I think that give him a year. Look at this like a redshirt year. This was a while ago, but Demaryius Thomas as well. He was recovering from that. I think it was a broken foot his rookie year. And so he didn't really play much his rookie year, but then we saw that explosion happen the next year during his sophomore campaign. I'm expecting Marvin Mims to have a much more dynamic role in this offense, prevalent role in this offense. And we'll see if Troy Franklin can ease his way into earning more of these snaps, because you can't teach speed. So y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Appreciate you guys as always. Go Broncos.